Okay, so we're going to get started. We're going to start in universal setting, gear bar 2, stopper 2, 2 red springs, platform over the springs. And we're going to start in about 10 seconds. Cool. Okay, so let's come to sitting. It shouldn't feel like the carriage moves very easily. Like if you really move around, it'll move on you. But there shouldn't be a big gap here because we're in universal settings, and it shouldn't feel like it moves very easily. Reach your arms forward and just roll back through your lower back. Again, the carriage shouldn't be moving. So if it were, then you'd want to adjust your springs. When you lay all the way down, adjust your body so that your head is on something. Doesn't have to be super comfortable because we're not going to stay there. And then circle your arms around and roll back up to sitting. And again, rounding through your lower back, rolling your spine down, reaching the arms up overhead and circling around. If that all feels good to you, you could shift backwards a little bit further so that you go into a little bit more extension as you roll up and down, but you don't want your butt sitting right in the gap. So you kind of have to figure out the spacing for yourself. Rounding down, reaching the arms overhead, a little bit of extension if that's available to you, and rolling back up. One more time, rounding back through your lower back and circling around and scooping to come back up. Round part of the way down. So you're just partly down, you're scooping the pelvis under, trying to shorten the abdominals. Rotate your upper body to one side and then come back to the center, and rotate to the other side and come back to the center. And do that a few times, trying to shorten the ribs to the hips and trying to spin the pelvis underneath you. One more each way. Rotate and center, and rotate and center, and then deepen your abdominals and come back forward, and then sit all the way up. You're most likely going to have to back up onto this platform to sit on and straighten your legs all the way. Start with your hands helping you by pushing down. You're going to lift one foot and go over the shoulder rest, and then lift it back over onto the head rest. And as you do this a couple times, just feeling the legs working to hover the leg up. If you want to make it harder, just take your arms away and don't use your hands. You can hold your arms in front of you. And also the further forward you are, it's a little harder because you have to lift your leg a lot higher. So you decide. Trying to not lean back as you're adjusting the feet, lifting and up and over the shoulder rest, and minimizing the lean back as much as you can. If you're struggling with this, bend one leg and put that foot flat, and then hold on to the leg and see if that helps you to focus on just the other leg a couple times. And a couple more here, lifting up and over the shoulder rest, trying to minimize the lean back, and up and over. And one last time, finish up even on both legs, and then spin around, and you're going to lay on your back with your hands in the straps. So in my classes, at least, I'm trying to move you really three-dimensionally. There's traditional Pilates is quite linear, and the reformer moves in a linear way. So that means our body has to move a lot on the reformer. Lift your legs up to tabletop and connect your abdominals and press the arms down. So you're on your mid-back series springs. If it's too heavy, too light, feel free to adjust. As you press down a few times, we're going to play around with the direction the hands are facing. So if you can, turn the palms to face in towards each other, few reps. And if you can, turn the palms to face the back of the reformer in the start position a few times. We just get in the habit of always having the palms facing one direction, but it's nice shoulder work, kind of balancing. If this feels pretty easy to you, extend one leg out. Yeah, awesome. Or just leave the legs tabletop, whichever is better for you today. And two more. Last one, hold your arms down by your side, bend and straighten your elbows, As you do this a few times, hover the elbows off the carriage. Try to keep them the same height off the carriage the whole time, pushing through the arms. If you want to extend either one or both legs, you may. You could even hold both legs out in an extended position the whole time if you want it to be harder. Two more. And last one. And then reach the arms up to the ceiling. Wiggle a little bit away from the shoulder rests. Press your arms down towards your hips and then circle your arms around to the side. Then the arms come back overhead. As you do the next one, flex your upper body up as your arms come down to your sides. As you circle around, lower back down. And do that a few times. I'm going to keep my head down just because every time I lift my head, it bumps my headphones, and I don't want it to sound terrible in your ears. So as your arms come down, flex your upper body. As you lower down, circle around. And of course, you could add legs extending. Awesome, nice, Angela. And reverse the direction so the arms go out to the side. When the hands come to the hips, that's when you flex up and you lower down with control. And making it a nice fluid circle. Of course, you could choose to leave your head down if that were more appropriate today. You could add one leg extending. Nice. And last one. Bending your legs, and you can set your feet back down. Put your feet into the loops of the straps. Reach your legs out on the diagonal. Adjust, make sure you're centered, and rotate the legs turned out. So just some 4 big leg circles turned out, focusing on the connection of the inner thighs as the legs come together, drawing up through the inner thighs into the pelvic floor, into the low abdominals. Circling around, one more in this direction, and reverse the direction. Circling around, knees stay straight, especially as the legs come up the midline. Probably feel a little stretch in the lateral side of the leg. Last one. And then we're gonna go into short spine. Rotate your legs to parallel. Hinge at your hips. Start to peel up through the spine, pressing your hips up. Ideally, you'd get the carriage all the way into the stopper. If you find you can't get there today, then we'll adjust your stopper next. And rotate the legs, turn out, pull the heels towards the tail. Roll back down to your spine. Connect to the back of the legs. Press the legs out away from you. So if you found you couldn't get the carriage all the way, and then adjust your settings to your footwork settings. Rotate your legs to parallel. Hinge at the hips. Try to use the abdominals to pull and lift yourself up. Rotate turned out. Pull the heels towards the tail. And then roll down. Awesome, Carrie. This has gotten a lot better. And twice more. Using the abdominals to lift you up. We're going to do something related to this short spine. We've been working on short spine a while. And we're going to do something where we don't have the assistance of the ropes helping us. Keep going on your own timing. And so we're working on using the abdominals to shorten the front of the body as we come up, so that you're not just hanging into the straps. Let's do one more for good measure. When you're done with this one, you can finish up, rolling through the spine, rotate the legs turned out, pull the heels towards the tail, leave the heels still in space, roll down away from the heels, and press the legs back out. Awesome. Take your feet out of the straps. You can put the straps in one hand and roll up off of the reformer. And I was experimenting with this on anywhere from 1 to 1.5 springs. The stronger your arms are, the heavier this can be. So I'm gonna do 1.5 springs. Give it a try on 1.5. Maybe you'll have to lighten it. We're gonna start on the side closer to the camera. And it's not possible to do right and left. That kind of confuses everyone. So camera side, non-camera side. So put your hands on the platform, your foot on the floor, the foot on the carriage, the knee is on the carriage, and you can have your foot against the shoulder rest. Yeah, and then step your standing leg forward towards the foot of the reformer. Push the carriage out like your single thigh stretch and push into your arms, open the front of the hip as much as you can. And then as you come back in, I want you to flex at the hip joint and stop when your knee is underneath your hip. And then push out again. On the next one, you're gonna stop and reach the leg that was on the floor back. Yeah, and if it feels like you can't keep the carriage from slamming in against the stopper, then it's too heavy. Push out, you set your foot down. As you come in, sweep the leg back. Don't crash against the stopper. Use your arms to help you. And lunge and sweep the leg back. Beautiful. And lunge. Definitely, I think 1.5 springs feels heavy. So if it's too much, go to 1 1/4, go to 1. So try to unbury your head and get your spine into neutral so that you're in this elongated position when your leg extends out behind. Yeah. If you can lift the opposite arm, my guess is it's too light or you're bringing the carriage in too far. So stop when your knee is under your hip. We're building towards something more, so I need to see these kind of signposts happen. Yeah. Don't let the carriage touch the stopper as the knee comes in. Good, one more time. Don't let the carriage touch the stopper. I'm about 6 inches away from the stopper and I'm holding. Stay there, look down, make sure you're not against the stopper. Flex your foot behind you and circle your leg. Should feel like you're working a lot through the arms, but you're not pushing yourself back. Your shoulders are over the wrists. And reverse. If your hands are slippery, then grab a flex band and put it under your hands. That usually helps, unless you have sticky pads. 3, 2, and 1. And bring the foot back down. Tip the platform up and switch to a half spring. Turn around to face the back of the reformer. Knees against the shoulder rests. Both hands are going to come onto the side closer to the camera, the rail. Move forward so your knees are against the shoulder rest. There we go. And then side bend and pull the carriage forward. Return back to the center. So you're trying to curve your waist and flex your knees at the same time. Your hips stay in the middle. One way that this can be pretty easy is if you just shift your hips off to the opposite side. The hips are not moving, the upper body's moving. When I say the hips are not moving, that's kind of a lie. You are flexing at the hip joint, but you're not swinging the hips over to the opposite side. If it's too easy, feel free to add more spring tension. By all means, side bend, return to the center. Side bend, return center. Side bend and center. And 3, 2, hold in that side bend and just a little pulse in the side bend and little inch side bending. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Return the carriage. You're going to face the side with one leg against the shoulder rest, the other foot out on the rail. If all you feel is hip flexors, put the box on the floor and put your foot on the box, or the platform if you're on a low reformer. So try not to be 90 degrees. You're going to slide your foot out and lunge in that direction. The knee on the carriage needs to start not directly underneath the hip. Yeah, awesome. And then the inner thigh is pulling the carriage underneath you. Should feel like both inner thighs, really. Whatever is helpful with your arms to start. In this position, you want to try to not be back here where your hips are back. You're trying to push your pelvis forward. If you don't have that much turnout in your hip, then putting your foot down on the floor will help you to get your pelvis forward. I couldn't do it like this with my foot on the floor. I'd have to put the box under it. My reformer's too high. But I hope that makes sense. So if you're on a low reformer, you'd have the platform or the box under it, depending on the height. You're trying to get out of the hip flexor of this leg. Reach the arms out to the side. Pull the knee underneath you, hold it there. Side bend towards that side and open back up. Return the carriage. Knee comes under, you lift up and over, the carriage stays still, you side bend and open and return. Twice more. Pull the knee underneath, side bend, lift up and return. Try not to move your rail leg, Grace, so you're not moving from that at all. You're just stabilizing from there. So the knee stays over the ankle. Good. And return. So if you just smash your carriage into your heel, one of two things is happening. Either it's too light and you're just too strong for this spring tension, or your foot needs to be further away from you. Yeah. Okay, so then pull the carriage underneath you, hold. Should feel like your inner thighs are working. You're about 90 degrees in the knee that's on the rail. Awesome. Rotate to one side, 3 pulses, 2, 3, and inhale back to the center. Awesome. And rotate. Your knee needs to be underneath you. The carriage knee is under you. And center, one more each way. Carriage knee stays still as possible. And center, and last one. So don't lunge out like this, Ginge. See if you can get a little more 90 and knee underneath the hip. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Okay, good. So then we return the carriage. You're going to turn around, put your hands on the platform, toes up against the shoulder rest. Just feel how super light it is. Push the carriage out a little bit and just feel it's very light. So don't go flying on this. Just hover your knees up, and then you can push your legs out and in a few times. Definitely not that hard for the legs, hard for the core. Pushing out and bend the knees, come back in. Either set the knees down in between each rep or stay up. Push, pull, push, pull. Last one, set the knees down when you're done with that. And just do a little sit back and stretch your arms forward, shell stretch. And coming up from there. Turn sideways, knees up against the shoulder rest. So kind of push your knees up as much as you can. This arm is gonna, the top arm is gonna go to the corner of the carriage. The other hand is on the platform. Just push out and lengthen through your spine. So you're flattening out. And then as you come up, think of your head going up and over the legs. Just a little side bend. Mermaid modification. So you lengthen out of the side bend, and then as you come up, you go up and over. And you can adjust this hand if you don't have enough range of motion. Lengthen and up and over. Beautiful. And lengthen out, up and over. One more time. Lengthen and up and over. So because we're all different, the spring tension for this might not work. You might feel like this is too light and unstable, so feel free to add spring tension if you need to, but see if you can lift your hips up into a side arm plank. We're not going to be here forever. You're just going to hold the carriage as still as possible, reach the top arm up, more or less your shoulders over your wrists, and then you're going to thread underneath and round like you're looking under your armpit, and then open back out to the side. If it's too unstable, you can always change spring tension. If it's too much on the wrist, put your forearm down. It's not as big of a motion, but you can still do it here on the forearm. And one more time. Thread and open. And then setting the hips back down and come off to the side. Switch back to whatever springs you did for that single thigh stretch variation we did. I did 1.5. You might have done 1 1/4. You might have done 1. The leg on the carriage, the knee is on the carriage, the foot's up against the shoulder rest. Your hands are on the platform. Push back, big lunge, open up the hip. And then come back in and hold the carriage still as you lift the other leg. And then you set the foot down. Lunge out. If you're on a lower reformer, it's a little, you have to maybe bend your knee to get your foot to come forward. That's totally fine. Awesome. Stop the standing hip at 90 degrees. So your glute and hamstring are holding the carriage in. Should feel like your arms are working quite a bit. Yeah, nice, Anita. Try to find 90 degrees at the hip joint as the carriage comes underneath you. So like Anita, flex your hip more. Find neutral spine, neutral, 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 there. And now hold it there as you reach the leg out behind you. Good. We're using this to build towards something more. So today we'll just keep it at this. Again, if you're having trouble with your hands slipping, a flex band works pretty well. If you don't have any sticky mats, you can just put it across the place your hands are going to be. And usually that will stick you pretty well. Actually, it's a lot easier when I'm not sliding around. That's exciting. Push and lift and push and lift. Open up the hip. Use the back of the leg to pause. Open up the hip. One more time, hold the leg up behind you. Hold the carriage away from the stopper. Flex the foot and circle the leg. Good, nice, Melanie. And reverse, 8, 7, 6, 5. And then setting your leg back down. Awesome. You can switch to your half spring. And turn around to face the back of the reformer. Hands are going to be on the rail that's further from the camera. Side bending, you're going to side bend more to pull the carriage forward and then return back to the center. So as you're pulling, you're trying to curve your waist, but not shift your hips way off to the side. You have to do a little bit of flexion at the hip, but a lot of this is coming from the abdominals. If it's too easy, move your hands forward. If it's still too easy, add a quarter spring to this, make it heavier. And side bend and center, and side bend and center. Yeah, awesome. Keep your hips in the middle. Good, everyone. Side bend, center, and side bend, center. 2 more. On the last one, we're going to hold and stay, and just a little pulse into the waist, side bending more, and side bending more. Like you're trying to bring your shoulder to your pelvis. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Return the carriage and come to that kneeling position with your foot out on the rail. Lunge. So your knee is over your ankle, and the standing knee, the one on the carriage, is not directly under you when you start. Pull the knee underneath you and then return the carriage. As you do this a few times, try to pull up through the front of the pelvis. Pelvis is really tall. And using the inner thighs. Of course, you can use your foot on the box on the floor or on the platform on the floor, depending on the height of your reformer. Use your arms to help you, however they might. Should feel like mostly inner thigh work on the carriage leg, some inner thigh work on the leg that's on the rail. Knee comes underneath you, knee goes back to the stopper. Knee comes underneath you, back to the stopper. Reach your arms out to the sides. Pull your knee underneath you, hold the carriage still and side bend towards the back of the reformer. Come back up to vertical. Return the carriage to the stopper. Knee comes underneath you, side bend to the back of the reformer, come back up and return. Knee comes under, side bend and lift and return, and knee comes under, side bend and return. Pull the knee underneath you, hold it there, keep it and rotate your upper body. 3 pulses one way, 2, 3, come back through the center, keep the carriage still, pulse, 2, 3. Hopefully you feel inner thigh holding the carriage. Pulse, 2, 3, and one more. Rotate, pulse, 2, 3, and return the carriage. Awesome. Bring your hands down to the platform. Feet tucked under at the shoulder rests. Find your hover and push the knees out and in. Either stay up the whole time or lift the knees, push the carriage out, set the knees down. You could also just keep the knees bent, hover up, and then set it back down. Awesome. Good, Grace. As you press your legs out, try to connect through the back of the legs so the glutes and the hamstrings are working to push the legs and the carriage away, even though it's light. Last moment. And then come all the way back in and pause. And then you're going to turn to face away from the camera. Put your knees up against the shoulder rests. The top hand is going to be on the corner of the carriage. The outside hand is on the platform. You're going to lean over, straighten through the body. And then as you come up and the carriage comes in, think of your ear coming over your legs as much as that's possible. Lengthen out through the body and lift yourself up and over into a side bend. Good. And pressing yourself out towards a straight line. And as you come up, think up and over, kind of half circle, half rainbow shape. Beautiful. Nice, everyone. Last one here. And come all the way back in. Turn towards the springs so you can adjust them. And just try, let's try 1.5 springs and see how that goes. Just don't need the carriage to move around a lot. And then lay on your back with your head down. The headrest flat, please. For this, we're gonna start in, I'm gonna layer options for you. So we'll all start together and then you pick what's most appropriate for your body today. Definitely, I don't think everybody needs to do all of these options. So imprint and lift one leg up to tabletop and then the other. Rotate your legs turned out and cross one ankle over the other and just do a little curl of the pelvis. So your rollover prep. So you're trying to use your abdominals to lift the base of the pelvis. It might not literally lift and that's okay. If you want to stick with this, please do. If you'd like to add to it, grab a hold of the shoulder rest. Don't pull straight up. You're pushing into them towards the foot bar. Bring your legs to parallel. Reach your legs out on a diagonal, only as low as you can keep the abs connected. Bend your knees into tabletop. Extend the legs a little to lift the pelvis. Then bring the pelvis back down. Knees come to tabletop. Reach the legs out on the diagonal. So you bend in. You do a little extension of the knees. Try not to just like kick and let the whole thing move. I picked kind of light-ish springs so that you would feel if the carriage is smashing all over the place, then it probably means you're, you could smooth out some of this a little bit more. So don't force anything. Nice, Angela. You can roll all the way over. Make sure you don't turn your head and look at me when you're upside down. But you're welcome to, and roll all the way back down. You can do a full rollover. You could keep the legs straight the whole time and hinge. Use your abdominals to curl up and off the carriage. Your legs come parallel to the floor and roll back down. So this is that kind of short spine movement that we were practicing at the beginning. That short spine helps us to articulate the pelvis off. Good. One more time of whatever you're doing. Awesome roll over there, Anita. Yeah. And then returning all the way back down. Beautiful. Come off of here. Switch to one red spring. I think that'll be heavy enough. And be mindful as you come up on the reformer. But you're going to stand on the reformer facing towards the carriage. Don't stand on the reformer first. Stand on the carriage first. Stand on the platform. however you want to get up there. Yeah. And if this makes you nervous at all, you could do this standing on the floor instead. That would be totally fine. Okay, so with your feet on the platform, nod your chin, roll down through the spine. Again, I'm going to be layering these exercises so you can add what's appropriate for you. Once you get your hands down, touching the carriage, you might have needed to bend the knees. That's fine. Walk your hands forward about halfway with the carriage, and then find kind of a downward dog position. So pike, your butt's up. You're pushing the carriage forward a little bit. Yeah, and then you can press your hips down and come into a plank, and then pike the hips back up, let the carriage come in. If you're flexible, you might need to have your hands further away from the shoulder rests to have enough room. Hinge and lift your hips up. If that's not working for you, then roll down and roll up a couple times, and I'll add to this and you'll have some more options. Good. On your next one, once you get the carriage back in, drop the back of the pelvis, roll up to standing. Yes, that's right, Dana. Good, Melanie. And coming back, drop. Good. Round down again. Roll through your spine. Bend your knees as much as necessary. Walk your hands forward and push directly out into your plank position. Hold your plank. You can either stay and hold, or you can push the carriage forward a little bit and back. The further your hands are towards the shoulder rests, it's a little easier. It's a little less heavy. Push out, pull in. Make sure your hands come under your shoulders. So you start with the hands under your shoulders, you push out from there. And then bend the knees and push your knees out to straight. Bend your knees, get your butt down as low as you can. So your knees almost kiss the carriage. Yeah, good. Bend, press, your hands are under your shoulders the whole time. Anita, get your butt down. Yes. I think, Anita, bring your shoulders over your wrists. And it might just be a little too heavy, or you're too stretched out. You don't have enough room. And then once you get the carriage back in, roll yourself back up to standing. Good. Balance is a challenge. Don't get off the reformer. I'm just showing you this in case you need help. The foam roller, oh, it's black on black. Well, here it is. Put it near you if you have trouble balancing. That might help you a little bit. So you're gonna just put one set of toes on the edge of the carriage. So I just have my metatarsal on the carriage. Use sticky pads, take your socks off, whatever you need. Bend your standing leg and just push, pull, push, pull. As you're moving your leg, kind of like a chair exercise some of you may have done before. So you're trying to hold the torso still. If you can be more vertical, bring your torso up more upright. Yeah, like Dana, bring your shoulders over your pelvis. There we go. Push, pull. Should feel like your standing leg is working. You might run into a little ankle tightness, and that kind of limits how far you can go. Good. 3, 2, and last one. Bring the carriage back in. Turn to face towards the camera. Put one foot on the platform. Place the other foot on the carriage. Just go into some basic side splits. Pushing out and coming back in. Try not to crash. That you're lifting. You're trying to get taller. So like the ceiling is right above your head, and you're trying to not let your head sink down away from the ceiling. Lifting up, getting taller, taller, taller. And tall through the pelvis. So as you're pressing out, you're not slightly letting your hips go back and your hips flex, your back extend. You've got to keep the pelvis vertical. One more time, pushing out and coming back in. Bend your knees, hold that bent position and pumping the carriage leg out and in. Push, pull. Yeah, As you're pushing the carriage leg out, the standing leg isn't moving, your body isn't moving side to side, your torso is completely still. That feels pretty easy. Get down lower. Get down there. Yeah. Awesome, Angela. 3, 2, and last one. Come all the way back in. Stand up for a second just to take a break. Push a little bit away from the stopper and go down into some squats down and press back up, trying to hold the carriage away from the stopper, the same distance. So your feet are kind of that athletic stance, about as wide as the outer hip, keeping the carriage still, down and pressing up. Go as low as you can manage. Ideally, for all of us, we'd be able to get so our thigh bones, our femurs, were almost horizontal. That might not be where we're at yet, but we can work towards it. Good. 3 more. Down and up and down and up. And last one. Down and up. Bring the carriage back in and step onto the platform. So some of you might want to bring the foot bar up part of the way. You won't be able to bring it up all the way or it'll hit you, but it would give you something to hold on to should you need to. Probably let's all do that. I think that'll be safer. I think, Anita, bring yours up one more notch. Cool. So then roll through your spine, bend your knees, find where your fingertips can touch the bar, lengthen from tail to head, or you could touch your thighs as well if you don't want to go down that low. Cool. Bring the foot closer to the camera so that the toes are on that edge of the carriage, and then push the carriage out and in. If all's going well, then start to remove the hands. You could add the arms reaching forward and back, push, pull. You can stay fingertips touching and with no weight in it, just to help keep low. I find if I take my fingers all the way off, I just keep creeping up taller, 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 higher, because it's easier. Carrie, see if you can find neutral spine. So stick your butt out and get out of the cat back. Yeah, and bend your knees a little bit more. Oh yeah, that helps. There we go, good foot bar adjustment. 3, 2, and last one. Push your leg out, lower your hands down so the heel of your hands touch the bar, and see if you can sink down a little bit lower and lift your hips up. If your foot's slipping, feel free to adjust, but you're going down a little and then lifting up, kind of like straight legs as much as possible, triangle and yoga kind of pose. As the carriage comes in, the knee is more straight, the front knee. As you press out, you're in a lunge. Opening the back hip, pulling yourself up, opening the hip, lifting your hips up. Just go as far as it feels good to you. Try to straighten your back knee, Ginge. Yeah, and keep your back leg straight and lift your butt. And it's okay if you can't lift all the way. You just go as far as you can. Some of you might feel like it's too much flexibility. This is where those accessory boards come in handy, like the trampoline would help, because you'd have something higher to hold on to. Yeah, and then come all the way back in and roll yourself up to standing. And we're gonna do all this on the other side, so let's put the foot bar down again. You might need to step off to the side to be able to put the bar down. Turn around to face towards the carriage. Okay, once you're facing towards the carriage, face towards the carriage, face towards the carriage. So you're facing the back of the reformer. Awesome. Okay, so now the chin rolls through the spine. Walk your hands forward as much as you can. They might come all the way to the shoulder rest. They might come to the middle of the carriage. Either works for me. Connect to the back of the shoulders, push forward into your plank, and then pike your hips up like downward dog and push the hips open and pike the hips up like down dog. Yeah, awesome. as you're pushing forward and back, some of you might feel like this is going pretty well. You could try lifting one leg and then set it down as you come back in. Lift a leg, set it down as you come back in. Obviously, you don't have to add that. Totally optional. Once you get the carriage back in, walk your hands towards your feet. Allow your knees to bend as much as they need to. Drop the back of the pelvis and roll your way up to standing. Like I said, you could do this on the floor and just do it as planks if this is not working very well for you. Okay, and then we're gonna roll down. Once you get your hands down, push out into your plank, hold the plank and bend your knees like leg pull front prep and push the carriage out into the plank. Bend and press. You can always take breaks by just setting your knees down when the carriage is in, or you can just keep going. I put the L of my thumb near the shoulder rest because then I don't slip. Whatever works for you. Yeah, awesome. Last 3. And then once you get your carriage in, walk your hands back towards your feet, drop the back of the pelvis, roll yourself up to standing. Awesome. Once you're standing, reach the foot further from the camera to the edge of the carriage, bend your standing leg and pumping the carriage leg forward and back. Push, pull. Yeah, as much as you can, try to get your body more vertical. It's a little more difficult the more vertical you get, but I think you guys can make it happen. Yeah, trying to push the knee towards straight, looking down at your knee, making sure that the knee is tracking well between the center of the hip and the foot. Awesome. If it's too heavy, of course you could adjust. Last one. And come all the way back in. Great. Stand facing away from the camera. Foot on the carriage and one on the platform. Be careful, mindful as you adjust. Just your normal side splits. This should feel like a vacation now because you know this one. Pulling up through the front of the pelvis and pulling the carriage back in. Try to get rid of that bounce that happens at the stopper that you pull up and in. You need to start with your feet sits bones distance apart. If your feet are wider than that, it's going to be too easy for all of you. Good. All the way to sits bones distance apart. Try not to sneak the feet into a position where you don't have to come in all the way. That's better. One more time, keeping tall. And once the carriage is back in, bend your knees and pumping the carriage leg out and in, push, pull, push, pull. Check in with your pelvis and see that your hips are level. You can do this hinged forward like a squat, but if you can do it like a plie, meaning your torso is vertical, please do. Push, pull. Yeah, Dana, try to keep your right leg from moving around so that the leg on the platform is not moving, just the carriage leg is moving. So your whole body doesn't slide side to side. Oh yeah, that's good. Last one, come all the way back in, stand up for a moment just to have a break. Push the carriage away from the stopper a little bit and go down in your squat. You can allow your torso to hinge forward and come back up. You can do any arms that make sense to you, feel good to you. Hinge and come back up. If it's too hard to hold the carriage still, then just let the carriage be against the stopper. And down and up and down and up. Three more. And last one, coming all the way up. Turn towards the front of the reformer, towards the foot bar. If you need to bring your foot bar up, you can. And the foot that's further from the camera is going to be the one on the carriage. So roll down through your spine. Once you can touch your fingertips to the bar or your thighs, lengthen your spine out. Get your hips down below your shoulders. Foot comes to the edge and pumping that back leg out. Yeah, so ideally you'd get your hips down below the shoulders by bending your knee more. Yes. And you've got a good bird's eye view of your alignment, so make sure your legs are tracking well. Could add arms if you like, or just keep your fingers touching the bar. So try to get out of this horizontal torso position. If you can, get your hips down. But I do know that means you have to have a lot more flexion in the knee and the hip. So if that's not possible, I understand. Last 3, 2, and last one. And come all the way back in, put your foot on the platform and roll up to standing and turn to the side to step off the platform. Oh, did I forget something? I did. Come back up there. Sorry, don't go anywhere. Your foot has to be the carriage foot back. We did this lunge and then lift the hips up into that pike. Lunge out, bend the front knee and lift the hips up. Thanks, Angela. And hinge and lift up. Try to straighten the back leg. The front leg can bend, but the back leg, try to keep it straight. If it's too heavy, you won't be able to straighten it. So you need to figure out your springs. We're not all the same. So it's totally fine if we play around with spring tensions. Pike the hips up, last 2, pushing out. Your back heel can lift as you press out and it can lower as the leg comes more in and the carriage comes towards the stopper. Awesome. And then step off of the reformer. Good. Okay. So from here, we're going to bring the foot bar down to 1 notch lower. So it's on a pretty low angle. Come to kneeling on the carriage. It's a little easier if your hands are up top on the shoulder rest, but it might be harder on your wrists. You can have your hands here beside the carriage shoulder rest. You could be down on your forearms if you have wrist stuff going on. And we might have to adjust the bar depending on which of these positions you pick. So start by pushing one leg out to straight against the foot bar, picking your position of your hands and then push out. Yeah. Okay, so this is your emergency exit strategy. Is you're gonna put your knee down on the carriage to not crash in, right? And see if you can pick the other foot up, put it on the bar. If you need to set one knee down, set it back down. If you think about it logically in terms of vectors, being up on the shoulder rest is a steeper angle. Your torso is more like this diagonal. If you're down on the carriage, you're gonna be a lot less steep diagonal, so gravity is going to be working against you a lot harder. Your choice. Hey, what happened to my planks? Where'd they go? So if you can find a place where you can hold it, push the carriage out a little and bring it under you. Push it out a little, bring it under you. The easiest in terms of the torso is up on the shoulder rest. None are easy. Let's be real. And then set your knees back down and sit back, just take a little shell stretch. If you grab a hold of the side of the carriage and kind of pull back, you can stretch into your lower back. Should feel kind of nice. Good. And then we're going to bring the, no, let's actually skip that. So let's bring our carriage to, let's do 2 red springs. You don't need the platform, so if you don't want to put it back there, you don't have to. Bring your foot bar all the way up. If you have knee or hip stuff going on, then you'll want to adjust your footwork settings. If this is approximately close to your footwork settings, like my stopper is normally 3, doesn't make much difference to me if I'm in 2, which is universal. So you decide. Knee or hip stuff, definitely adjust to your footwork settings. Lay on your back with your heels on the bar. Step your feet wider than your hips. Start to roll your pelvis under and roll your hips up, bringing your knees towards each other. Then separate your knees and roll back down. So you're going into internal rotation as you roll up, external rotation as you roll down. More or less keeping the carriage still, rolling up, opening the knees, rolling back down. Should feel nice to kind of just mobilize the hip joints. Definitely a little bit of hamstring and glute work going on. Reverse the direction so the knees open out to the side, knees come towards each other, you roll back down. Out to the side, roll up, towards each other, roll down. Twice more, however you're making this happen. Looks good. And last one, rolling back down. Awesome. Bring your feet in line with your sit bones. So as you press one leg out towards straight, you're gonna lift the other leg up to tabletop. Keep your feet flexed, it'll help. And then as you come back in, put your foot back down in the same footprint. As you press out, you're gonna lift one leg to tabletop. As you come in, you're gonna set the foot down. And then start to increase the speed. So you're marching between feet. The lifting and the lowering of the leg into the air is happening while you're going out and in simultaneously. So it's like a weight transfer from 2 feet to 1 foot. Good. On your next one, you're gonna come all the way back in. We're gonna add that to our hip lift or shoulder bridge. So hover the hips up off of the floor into that long line, pressing the hips open, helium balloons attached to the front of the leg. Just push the legs out, both of them, lowering the pelvis so you can stay neutral. So you're shortening distance between ribs and hips. Then pull the carriage all the way back in. Then flex at the front of the hip joint, like double karate chops to the front of the hip to lower down. So you're gonna pick between all these options I'm giving you. Then if you wanna add to that, press your hips up. As you press out, lift one leg up to tabletop. As you come in, set that foot down, like we were just doing, laying on our back. You still have to stay in neutral. You still have to lower and lift the ribs and the pelvis so that you're staying in your neutral alignment. Alternating between legs. Of course, go back to sitting with the pelvis down if that's more appropriate today. Awesome. Good. And it is on the heavier side because it's helping you to bring the carriage back in. If you need to lighten it a little, just be aware that it's going to make it harder to get the carriage to come back in. On your next one, once you're even, bring the pelvis back down to the carriage, hug your legs into your chest, give yourself a little rock from side to side. And put your toes on the bar in line with the center of the hip joints, press your legs out. Just go into a really kind of playful running with a bounce quality. Bounce, bounce, bounce. You guys have done running a million times. So as you're doing this, just thinking of it as a kind of way to lengthen back out, get everything opened up and elongated, more like a standing position. It's on the lighter end of the spring tension. So you can do a little bit more of that kind of fascial bounce quality that we work on often. Awesome. And then bend your knees, bring the carriage all the way back in. You can roll to your side, come off of there. And you're done, except I'd love for you guys to do single thigh stretch on your own timing, either standing at the side or up on the high bar. No lighter than 1.5 springs. If it's too light, you end up stretching superficially, not the deep stuff. Awesome. Good job. Hope you guys felt like you got a little work there. And thank you so much for coming.